Once upon a time there was a weave and stitch along. People wove and stitched and wove and stitched until one day some of the woven motifs took on a life on their own. Here is their story, and you hear it told by their creators, Hazelrose, CRA, Oddsoxx, and Litterbug, and narrated by me, TexasGabi. So, here is my owl. I thought about doing Hedwig, but thought white on white might be a little tricky to photograph, so I went with her cousin Smokey. Hedwig, as all Harry Potter fans know, is a serious and respectable bird, and does not suffer fools gladly, especially relatives, so she tries to avoid this cousin as much as possible. Smokey is well named, as his reputation is a bit on the smoky side. And though no one has had the courage to approach the subject, the family has often wondered about his mother's long-time friendship with Brewster Buzzard. But, for better or worse, here is Smokey. Meet Brighty. She has her eyes set on Smokey. Brighty was named after the burrow in her favorite book, Brighty of the Grand Canyon. Smokey thinks Brighty is a pretty birdie, a tropical owl. Brighty had a high-fiber lunch of fabric scraps, and now she is ready to fly off to follow her dreams. There should be lots of wonderful views for her in the Grand Canyon. I have it on good authority that Smokey has a preference for full-figured feathered females, and is considering joining Brighty on her upcoming visit to the Grand Canyon. Trouble is that Smokey, like his creator, has a fear of heights, so even the temptation of such lovely lady might not be enough to get him out over that canyon. Depending on how deep her feelings are, maybe Brighty would consider hiking the canyon so that Smokey would feel more comfortable coming along. Or they could take mules. Can you imagine those bright-colored owls on mules? Well, here is Grouchy, in all his grouchy splendor. He is grouchy because he has to stay at home with a cat for the weekend, while his creator is leaving for a trip. We may report elsewhere who survived the weekend, Grouchy or the cat, or the house.
A handsome bird. I'm not sure he looks grouchy, but he does not look like an owl to fool with.
Brighty is thinking that maybe she could shake her tail feathers and he wouldn't be so grouchy. Oh, but then Smokey would be grouchy. Nah, Smokey is busy looking for that other thing which men like, dinner. Now, here is Rosita. As you can tell, Rosita is a party girl, and truth be known, the bane of her brother Manuel's existence. Manny has made it his life's mission to keep Rosita on the straight and narrow, but Rosie thinks that he cramps her style. She gave him the slip in Laredo yesterday and flew into town early this morning, still sporting some of her bling from last evening's fiesta. Manny is wise to Rosita's tricks, though, and is hot on her trail. He will, no doubt, arrive to rescue Rosita, who, at least in her opinion, does not need to be rescued in the next hour or two. And here's Manny, looking a bit worse for wear. In his words, "I had to teach a couple of old buzzards they couldn't mess around with Rosita. Yeah, I don't look so good, but you should see the other guys." That eye has to hurt, and it looks like he has a slight bend in his beak too. Poor Manny. Brighty reads about Manny's rescue story on CNN and decides that Manny is her new hero. She's thinking Manny looks very brave and just needs a little TLC. And we may suspect Manny would agree with Brighty on some TLC. But first, Manuel might want to take a step back. He might try explaining to Rosita what he is trying to protect her from. Maybe she would see it as love rather than interference with her fun. It does sound like a rough group. I think Rosita might want to rethink her friends. Manuel has tried so hard to get Rosita to understand, but she is one stubborn owl. Maybe when she sees the state he is in from defending her honor, she'll change her ways. We can but hope. Meanwhile, Smokey notices Brighty's comments on Facebook and takes action to get into the picture incognito. "Who's that masked man, owl?" Who's that masked owl, you ask? Manny had better keep an eye on Rosita tonight. Rosita has finally seen the error of her ways and takes consequences. With his sister's future secured, Manny is free to turn his eye in Brighty's direction. And sure enough, when Manuel found Brighty, she was indeed shaking her tail feathers at an apparently much cheered Grumpy. A seriously disillusioned Manny vowed to give up on women and has decided to hop a ship and see the world. But wait, Manuel wasn't even in the picture when Brighty was looking at Grumpy. Is it too late? She's a strong flyer. Manuel says, "I need to apologize to Brighty. People should not be judged for their past actions. No one knows that better than me. But I spent so much money on that fancy bouquet and the box of candy. This is the best I can afford right now. I hope Brighty won't be disappointed." The parrot did appreciate the candy though, and the cat loved the flowers. Brighty is happy to accept the flower and candy. Her little owl heart is all aflutter. If Manuel hasn't sailed away with the pirates, she's wondering about a fly-in to get acquainted. According to Google, it's 953 miles from Laredo to Show Low in Arizona. Oh no, we have a couple that meets over the internet. How contemporary! Manuel agrees that a fly-in sounds like a good idea. Even better, Manny and Rosita left Laredo a few days ago and have been hanging out in Cedillo, only 265 miles from Show Low. Red roses for a blue lady would set a great stage, but unfortunately Manny can only afford one rose. Brighty says,
Meet me in Pie Town. You will know me because I'm a blue lady with a single red rose. Crumb top apple with ice cream, please.
Sad, sad news. When I went to Brighty's tree to let her know it was time to leave for Pie Town, I found this note. I guess she didn't want Rosita hanging around, so she took off with a big black raven a while ago. Adios, Brighty. Manny's heart is shattered into pieces, but his strong character will not let him be defeated and destroyed. He draws the only consequence there is to move forward. Goodbye, cruel world. I'm off to join the circus. Gonna be a broken-hearted clown. You are right. I can only hope that Brighty is fulfilling her dream of soaring over the Grand Canyon with a bright blue sky, looking at the burrows on the trails in hopes of seeing the famous one that she's named for. And in the meantime, poor Manny is being shot out of cannons to the great amusement of circus-goers everywhere. Tell Brighty to keep her eyes open for an owl-shaped blur in a polka-dot top hat zipping by at warp speed. Maybe he will have the chance to be shot across the canyon. Woohoo! Evil Knievel with feathers! As for Smokey, he kept on looking for that perfect gal that would always prepare his rodent ratatouille to perfection, while he is sitting next to the fireplace. And there is hope that they all lived happily ever after. Keep on weaving, keep on stitching. You'll never know what you'll get. Thank you and goodbye.